As Frank Sinatra said, let me try again. And I'm so sorry, but I accidentally put my microphone on mute. Ayoko namang madinig niyo yung I love you ako doon sa misis ko. And we, of course, try to make it a habit to start with prayer. So I kind of just put the microphone on mute. But in any case, let me try again. Good day to all of you. It's the second day of December 2020. It's a Wednesday, and I do hope it's going to be a great day today for all of you out there. Kahit papano po, kahit ano pang sabihin ng mga experts dyan o mga nag-aalala, let us still try to bring out the Christmas spirit. Kumbaga, alam nyo, may mga nagsabi nga it's all in the mind, okay? Yung COVID, it's all over the place. Pero yung decision to be happy, positive, and to be fruitful, and to have something good to show for COVID, pandemic lockdowns, well, it's all in the mind. And yung alam ko po na meron naman tayong mga tao na talaga chemically challenged, genetically challenged siguro, medyo may emotionally challenged kasi may pinagdadaanan. And that's a reality. I feel that. I feel for you, but you know, we also need to fight back. We need to push back against depression, against all of the negativity all around us. And, you know, it's interesting because today we're going to have a lineup of people who are the bearers of good news. Para silang three kings, kanya lang yung isa Maria. Kasi our guest for today starts with Undersecretary Benito Bengzon from the Department of Tourism, one of our good friends and long-time associate na natin yan between media and tourism. And we're going to tackle kasi merong proposition or proposal ang DOT. Marami sila mga topic Yung uniform requirement for all for all tourism destination. Meron silang suggestion na for government to possibly subsidize yung pagpapatest, okay, etc., etc. So we'll speak with Usec Bengzon on that. And then we will speak with Congressman Weslie Gatchalian. Hindi po si Wesley Snipes, Weslie Gatchalian. Pero ang pag-uusapan natin hindi tungkol sa Valenzuela, hindi tungkol sa kung ano-ano, e-commerce. Medyo technical, a bit technical, but I understand Congressman Weslie Gatchalian is trying to do something about e-commerce in the Philippines na has grown enormously, fantastic growth, but also needing more and more regulation. Huwag po kayo mag-alala kasi baka sabi ninyo, nako, ayan na naman, yung maliit kong online business, babanatan na naman itong mga politiko. Hindi po yun. Kasi maraming scammer, maraming mga fly-by-night, maraming mga hayop. Very animal sila. Very animal. Mga hayop talaga. Taking advantage of investors, taking advantage of companies, etc. So hopefully we'll get Weslie Gatchalian. And then, last but not the least, yung Iyog ng Cebu Pacific. Kasi pinaglalaroan ko po yung kanyang pangalan. Kasi siya po yung Maria natin today. And she is the Vice President for Marketing and Customer Experience at Cebu Pacific. And we will talk to her kasi may suggestion sila na medyo gagawa sila ng promo raw. Hindi lang promo, malaking service to also for testing for passengers. So we'll find out from Candice Iyog, VP sa Cebu Pacific, ano ba yung plano nila, pero makibalita rin tayo because if there is one industry that has been hard hit and has been struggling, it is aviation, it is about airlines. And Cebu Pacific, to their credit, was the first to step up and say, yung mga bossing sa Cebu Pacific, kukuha kami, papayag kaming magpabawas sweldo. Huwag bawas tao, bawas sweldo para lang manatili so that the business will continue and we can continue to serve the public. So, hindi na nila dinaan sa promo, dinaan na nila sa sakripisyo. We will go to them. We will find out from Candice what's going on in their part of the neighborhood. Okay. But for now, doon sa mga hindi nakakakuha ng Philippine Star sa malalayong puok pero may Signal TV, ito na po yung ating front page, Philippine Star, the stories. And please, mind you, pay attention, it's all good news. Interestingly, minors, as long as they are with parents or any other adult, may soon be allowed in malls, says the government. Papayagan na sila, pero para akong Harry Belafonte. But Palas clarifies, local governments must still release a policy for this new protocol. Kasi kawawa nga naman yung mga bata, yung mga 15 to 18. Matagal ko na sinasabi yan. Alam nyo po, dito lang sa Pilipinas, bine-baby yung 15 to 18. Sa ibang bansa, hello, nag-aaral na abroad. Hello, nagtatrabaho na sa kung saan-saan. Yes, we're trying to protect them, protect their health. But, sometimes we need to make them stand on their own and we need to train them to become self-sufficient, self-reliant. Kung ganitong kukulong natin because of COVID-19, di wala, clueless sila. They're clueless with the reality of what's happened to the economy, what's happening to the environment, etc., what changes are happening. They're going to be the Coronians. They are the Coronian generation. Parang Star Trek, no? In any case, alamin natin ano yung mangyayari dyan. Okay. Ito. Excuse me. Okay. Supreme Court Chief Justice Diosdado Peralta is retiring early. Chief Justice Peralta is supposed to step down on March 2022, but instead he will retire a year earlier or in March of next year. He did not cite the reason for his decision. Now, comment ko lang po dyan kasi I think I can honestly and humbly say, kilala ko po si Chief Justice Peralta on a personal basis. Hindi kami close, hindi kami nag-golf niyan. Pero nagsasalo-salo kami sa isang party doon sa nasira naming kaibigan. Every year, nagsasalo kami niyan. At least once nakikita kami niyan every year doon sa namatay naming kaibigan si Dominic Sitin. But, when you talk about sudden decisions like this, medyo ang nasa isip ng maraming tao, parang, may karamdaman ba si Sir? May problema ba sa politika? Ako, ewan ko lang, parang feeling ko, baka parang nagdesisyon lang yung mama, ba't ko papahabain to? Because many of us learned during COVID that jobs and careers are not our priorities. And even more important, we have learned to number our days, says the Lord. Diba? Sa itong COVID-19, wala sa atin nakakasiguro. Last 2 weeks po, nakaapat akong kaibigan, tepok lahat. 2 cancer, 1 COVID, 1 unknown. 4 sila in 2 weeks, okay? So you never know what could happen. So siguro baka itong si Justice Peralta, siguro sinabi, hello, puro opisina? Mas para makakapag-golf naman. Anyway, sir, I wish you all the best. I hope you are in peak of health and magsalo-salo naman tayo. Isang platong pansit dyan. Okay. At the top of the page, US Moderna vaccine is said to be 100% effective against severe cases. Alam niyo po, mga good news yan. Kasi kahit daw yung malalang version, pero hindi ko nga maintindihan is there such a thing as a severe case? Alam ko yung symptoms ang pinag-uusapan. May no symptoms, mild symptoms, and severe symptoms. Pero ito po, mag-ingat din po kayo, no? Kasi kung minsan itong mga ganitong balita, pampataas ng rating doon sa stock market. Pero, that's still good news. So we welcome the good news. Kasi any good news about the vaccine helps, and Moderna has been at it for some time. Okay, at the lower part of the front page, the health department says it's open to the resumption of face-to-face classes if an area is COVID-free for at least 2 weeks. So, ayan po, medyo may mga sumusuporta na doon sa pagbabalik eskwela ng mga bata kung yung lugar, if certain places are COVID-free. Ewan ko pa, yan, may mga trade-offs po yan kasi at least makabalik yung mga bata sa eskwela, pero malamang at malamang yung mga LSI sabihan, no pwede uwi sa barangay, doon na kayo sa pier, sa Pantalan kasi baka mamaya magdala pa kayo ng kung anong sakit. I'm just thinking, but we will see and we will pray for that. President Duterte also called on progressive groups to condemn the armed struggle in the country. That's parang di naman oxymoron, pero medyo ironic classification. You have these groups na alam naman natin, they're publicly known as anti-government. Pagkatapos we refer to them as progressive groups, or they claim to be progressive kasi regressive sa kanila ang government. Pero ang pinapaturingan po ni Presidente dito ay yung mga samahan na uugnay sa mga makakaliwang grupo, sa mga rebelde, etc. O kaya kumbaga nasasabing kamag-anak ng mga debaril na NPA, no permanent address. Pero ewan ko lang po, medyo malalim na usapan yan. We will try to tackle it because here's the problem with this red tagging, the claim of the government and spokesperson Harry Roque na sinasabi niya, renounce your links with the NPA. There's nothing wrong to be called a communist. Yeah, if you're not the target. But if you're the one being red tagged, you are the one under suspicion, you are the one constantly being monitored, being stalked by the intelligence community, and you have this still to be settled issue of the anti-terror bill, well, I can relate to these people. They have reason to be worried and they have reason to be concerned. Pero we're on the right track. Kasi dati hindi mo maisip na nasa Congress na yung mga taong yan. Anyway, lastly, Palace Defense, the park funds with the Philippine International Trading Corporation or PITC, and claiming they are not idle and that they are only going through phases of procurement. Medyo too late the hero yung sagot ng Malacanang tungkol sa bagay na ito kasi po sinabi na nga ni Secretary Mon Lopez we're willing to return yung tubo, yung kinita para wala tayong pag-aawayan o walang issue. In any case, let's now go to our first interview. The hour is 8:14. We have with us Undersecretary Benito Bengzon.
Good morning, Cito.
Good morning, Usec Bong, my friend. How are you? Kanina mukhang harass ka nung nagsiset up, pero ngayon, pogi ka na naman.
Pinalitan ko lang ng konti yung angulo.
Nakapagsuklay na rin, ano? Okay. Pasensya na kayo mga kaibigan if I'm very personal with Usec Bong. Kasi matagal na po kaming magkakilala nito. Nung panahon pa na ako'y na sa tourism doon sa Palawan, magkakilala na kami. Usec, first of all, umpisa na natin yung interview. Baka maubusan tayo ng oras. I picked up the suggestion or appeal of Secretary Bernadette Puyat, yung tungkol ba sa uniform requirements ng LGU. Parang ang gusto yata ninyo sa DOT, kung pwede lang po mga LGU, pre-preho na tayo, mga preko na iisa lang ang requirement. Nasa na ba tayo regarding this requirement? Kasi kaka-interview ko parang hindi nangyayari.
Well, pupulungin namin yung mga LGU kasi talagang ang gusto nating mangyari, pare-pareho yung protocols, yung requirements when domestic travelers visit all these different destinations. Kasi tama yung sinabi mo, sa ngayon iba-iba. May mga nagre-require ng 48 hours negative test result, yung iba 72 hours, no? Yung iba nagre-require ng quarantine, no, halfway through your stay. So ito yung mga gusto nating pag-aralan para magkaroon tayo ng isang set lang ng mga requirements, no, para hindi rin nahihirapan, hindi nalilito yung ating mga kababayan.
How will the DOT approach this? Kasi there are two schools of thought. Meaning, okay, general declaration. Kumbaga, no, ito yung minimum requirement but all must comply. Meron namang isa na nagsasabi, well, we will survey who are the safe zones and only they will fall under what we hope will be a uniform requirement. Kasi parang sasabihin naman ng iba, teka, katulad kahapon, kausap ko yung mayor ng Bacolod. Sabi ni Mayor doon, sorry, we're not taking in tourists, non-essentials, not welcome to Bacolod at the moment because sila nga yung last na tumaas yung bilang pero ngayon bumaba na naman.
Well, of course, we have to respect the decision of the local executives. No? Kahit na modified GCQ na yung lugar nila, pero kung sa pananaw nila, hindi pa handa yung kanilang lugar at hindi pa pwede magbukas, then we will respect that. Pero dun sa mga nagbukas na ng mga destinations, yung ang pinakapakay namin na magkaroon tayo ng uniform requirements. No? Ang importante lang naman dyan, magkasundo doon sa, siyempre, yung minimum health declaration form. Pangalawa is yung negative test result. Kailangan magkasundo na lang tayo if it's going to be 48 hours, 72 hours. Pagdating din dun sa pag-check-in sa mga DOT accredited accommodations, no, dapat ano rin ito, they should be uniform also. Pati yung pag-book doon sa DOT accredited operator. So ito yung mga tinitinan natin. Hopefully we can iron it out with the LGUs that have opened para mapadali na rin yung pag-book nila. Pero yung isang issue na kailangan din natin ma-address dito, binanggit mo na rin kanina, is yung cost ng testing. Dahil doon sa mga consultation, deterrent pa rin itong mataas na ng cost, no, ng COVID testing. So, hopefully we can address this also.
Yeah, because I was speaking to a few people last week, and I think one I don't know if this is accurate, no? So sa iyo ko na ibabato, Yusek Bong. Their impression is, aalis ka ng Manila, papatest ka. Pag landing mo dun sa pupuntahan mo, kailangan magpa-test ka. Pag alis mo dun sa pinuntahan mo, kailangan magpa-test ka. And then pagbalik mo sa Manila, kailangan magpa-test ka ulit. Is this correct?
May mga destinations kasi na nagre-require ng before you arrive there, no, before you arrive the destination, 48 hours to 72 hours bago ka dumating sa destination, dapat meron ka ng negative test result. Yung may ibang destinations naman, on the third day or on the fifth day, magre-require ng isa pang test. So ito nga yung pinag-aaralan namin kasi nga gusto natin na mabawasan yung cost nung travel nung biyahero. Pero ang ano rin siguro the other thing that we want to highlight also is that just to manage expectations, itong testing will be required, no. Kasi ang sinasabi nga ni Secretary Puyat, ang mahalaga lagi dito yung health and safety protocols. So kailangan magkaroon din ng adjustment doon sa mga travelers, and we always tell them that kailangan may cooperation, kailangan merong patience, no, is very important. Dahil yung mga travel protocols under the current situation are obviously different from what we were accustomed to pre-COVID.
Yeah. Correct. Now, there is this news on the top of the Philippine Star. Government subsidized swab tests for tourism. What do you know about this? I suppose this came from the DOT. And paano itong program na ito or itong suggestion na ito, Yusek?
Well, binanggit na po ni Secretary Bernato, no, that part of our assistance to the industry to stimulate domestic travel is to look at this possibility of subsidizing the cost of yung sa testing. Itong concept naman kasi na pag-subsidize, no, is nothing unique to the Philippines, no. Even in other countries may mga iba-ibang klaseng financial assistance or subsidies that the governments provide just to stimulate travel. So nakikita nga namin na ito yung malaking deterrent. Pagkausap namin yung may mga pamilya, sasabihin nila sa akin na, Bong, sa testing pa lang, 4 kami, 1,500 times 4, 6,000 na yun, wala pa yung kwarto. So, alam namin yung mga major concerns nila, particularly on the cost of testing. And ito yung talagang pagtutuunan namin ng pansin. We'll come up with the mechanisms. No? Hopefully we can soon enough.
Okay, so clearly, or I'm assuming it's not the full price that the government is or the DOT is suggesting to subsidize. Kumbaga, parang magbibigay lang kayo ng discount ticket doon sa magpapatest.
Well, yung concept kasi siyempre kailangan na may cost sharing dito. At saka the other thing that we always emphasize, we have to achieve an optimum balance between stimulating economic activities, no, particularly tourism, and yung health and safety protocols. Kaya nga dito rin papasok yung konsepto ng mga maximum carrying capacity, no, or maximum number of travelers, no, in a particular destination. Dahil ang lagi namin sinasabi, the approach has to be slow but sure. Pinag-aaralan din namin yung mga nangyayari dito sa ating mga neighboring countries. At nakita natin yung mga destinations na biglang nagbukas, nagkaroon ng surge, ay yun din yung mga nagkaroon ng problema with the second wave or even third wave. So ito yung iniiwasan natin.
Okay, now, paano yung modes of travel? Kasi marami akong na-pick up na reaction na hindi na affordable for many yung lumipad. Kasi dati yung Cebu Pacific, marami silang promo, maraming discount. Ngayon, hindi na kayang gawin ng mga airlines yun. Talagang naghihingalo na nga yung ibang airline. So, people are asking, kailan ba bubuksan itong mga ferry, itong mga roro? Kasi hindi, kahit yung papunta lang ng Mindoro daw, nako po, hindi ka, you just want to go from Batangas to Mindoro, which is the nearest, para ka raw nagche-check-in sa sa Pentagon.
Well, siyempre archipelago tayo, no? So yung intermodal system is very important. Yung sa airlines, anyway, I think si Candice will be on board a little while, and I'll let her answer that. But ang nadinig ko kasi sa airlines is napakababa pa nung yung operating capacity natin compared to other countries. No? From the reports that we've received, nasa 20% lang tayo compared to our countries which are for domestic flights compared to our neighbors that are doing 60%, 70%. China nga is back at 100% no operating capacity. So obviously meron kang issue dyan with respect to economies of scale which will affect the pricing. No? But like I said,
Doesn't the DOT have a say in this matter? Because I mean, my wife returned from the Netherlands, and a few of our friends have returned from abroad, and they were saying that's weird, Cito, because the planes are packed. They're full of travelers, particularly OFWs returning. So what's the difference? Why are we so okay allowing planes from abroad to come back full pack, but yung domestic flights 20% lang? Parang it's like, you know, a prolonged death sentence on our aviation industry.
Well, on the domestic front kasi may mga issues with respect to the guidelines imposed by the local government units. Kaya nga nung kausap namin yung Air Carriers Association of the Philippines, ang pakiusap nila is kausapin namin yung mga LGUs to relax the guidelines so that they can operate, you know, at least maging commercially viable yung mga operations sila domestically. But definitely, we would like to see an increase in the operating capacity of our domestic airlines. And this is all part of our, syempre, strategy to push normalize and to push for domestic tourism in the next 12 to 24 months.
In the interest of predictability, do you have any idea when this is going to improve man lang? Kasi you pointed out 20% capacity. No airline in the world is going to last 1 year under those terms. And we're already pushing 9 months. So do you have any idea? I don't want to pin you against the wall, Bong. No, no, we're just kind of like, para tayong magkabarkada ba na nagtatanungan lang. Mga kailan kaya ganun?
Mahirap na mag-predict eh. You know, early on, even the international associations were quick to make their bold predictions. Even United Nations World Tourism Organization, itong World Travel and Tourism Council. Pero itong in recent months, tumigil na. Wala na nagpipredict kung kailan makaka-recover yung industry because the situation is really very fluid. Ang hirap talagang gumawa ng timeline. So tayo naman, in the meantime, what we're doing is to help the industry is to focus on domestic tourism dahil malaki yung domestic tourism base natin. And syempre, papasalamat kami sa Congress, no? Because under Bayanihan 2, may 6 billion pesos tayo for working capital loans for tourism enterprises and about 3 billion pesos, 3.1 billion pesos to help displaced workers. So at least merong assistance for our stakeholders in tourism.
Okay, speaking of travel and destinations, kasi sabi mo kanina, you repeated the term about 3 times, yung mga registered or ano ba yun? Accredited tourism destination. Meron na ba tayong national registry of accredited, approved, and 100% pwede? Pupunta ka lang doon sa registry ng DOT at alam mo na kung saan ka pwede at ano yung kailangan. Kasi parang there's still a lot of questions and a lot of people are still ignorant where they can go and if they can go.
Pwede silang pumunta sa there are 2 sites that they can go to. Yung first is .travel/safe trip. No? So this will present yung mga destinations
could you repeat na, no? Usec, could you repeat that please? Medyo nag-falter yung signal natin eh.
Yung Philippines .travel/safe trip. So pwede nilang tingnan yon. And then the other one is yung Philippine Travel App. No? I-google lang nila yan, magpa-pop up yon. So this will show you the list of the destinations that they've opened at saka yung mga DOT accredited establishments. No? Pero kung pumunta rin sila doon sa mga area-specific websites, no, whether it's Ilocos Norte or Coron or Boracay, lilitaw din yung mga yung mga listahan ng mga DOT accredited establishments na nabigyan na ng certificate of authority to operate, meaning they've complied with the minimum health and safety guidelines.
Okay. Does it mean, Yusek Bong, that if you are not an accredited facility, kumbaga, kasi may mga pabukas pa lang, biglang tinamaan ng COVID, meron naman yung mga para bang mga bed and breakfast, etc. Does it mean those outlets or businesses are not allowed to take in guests, even if their province or town have opened up?
Ang pinapayagan lang dito yung mga DOT accredited establishment. Kasi pagpasok mo dun sa app, hihingan ka ng syempre ito yung hihingin sa iyo, no? Yung negative test result, no? Hihingan ka ng confirmed booking in a DOT accredited establishment, no? Hihingan ka rin ng itinerary. And the idea here is to be able to monitor the movement of the tourists, no, pagdating nila doon sa mga lugar na yon. At bibigyan ka rin ng sarili mong QR code, no, with all the personal information. So again, yung mga iba kasi nahihirapan mag-adjust dito, pero pinapaliwanag lang natin na these are the steps that we have to take para masiguro natin na hindi magkakaroon ng spike, no, in cases as we've seen in other overseas destinations.
Okay, so what happens to these yung mga bed and breakfast, yung B&B, Airbnb?
Well, ang suggestion namin, ito lang, no? They have to do two things. Number one, they have to have themselves accredited by the DOT. And then second, kailangan makakuha sila ng certificate of authority to operate. Yun lang ang requirements. I mean, they can coordinate with the nearest DOT regional office.
Hindi naman yan Santo Santissima na pag-apply abutin ka ng siyam-siyam, kailangan mo ng financials, etc., income tax, blah blah blah.
Mabilis na tayo ngayon Cito kasi yung for the accreditation meron na tayong online accreditation system. But to make it parang support na rin sa ating mga stakeholders, no. Libre muna itong accreditation na to.
Ayun, malaking bagay po yun. Ulitin ko, sabi ni Yusek Bengzon dito sa agenda, libre yung accreditation, pero malamang hindi kayo makakalibre sa mayor's office kasi kailangan din magpalista kayo doon. May katanungan dito regarding yung tourism bubble. I read about that last week, that you are considering tourism bubbles with other countries, sending tourists to bubbles here in the Philippines.
When the time comes that we will allow inbound travel, no, yung foreign tourists, no, isa sa mga konseptong tinitingnan natin is itong travel bubble. We will have to look for destinations, initially within Asia, no, kung saan mababa yung cases ng COVID or at least under control. And the idea here is to contain the movement, no, from your source market, no, kung saan man yun dito sa Asia, to the destination here in the Philippines. At doon sa mga initial discussions namin, ang tinitingnan talaga, ang interest andun sa nasa Boracay, nasa Bohol. So most likely, pag nagkaroon ng travel bubble or travel corridors, as some people call it will involve our resort destinations.
A few days ago, Yusek Bengzon, there were excuse me. A few days ago, there was news na Intramuros was considered the best historical something site, and then the Philippines was the best dive destination. I could be wrong, no? But they were positive news. Has this translated into a renewed interest, or may mga actual bang nagsasabi sa inyo, punta kami dyan, papasukin nyo kami?
Maraming actually, now that you mention it, maraming mga gusto na talaga makapasok dito, no. First, we're very happy that yung World Travel Awards has recognized the Philippines again. This is good news for us. At least yung awareness level of the Philippines as a mainstream destination, and more specifically as a dive destination, is still there. And doon sa feedback na nakukuha namin sa foreign office, marami na talagang gusto makapasok dito. Na hinihintay na lang talaga magbukas yung borders natin. But in the meantime, we're focusing on domestic tourism, and hopefully yung mga local tourists natin mapasyalan din itong mga lugar, no, that have been recognized by various international bodies.
I think you and I will always agree that unless you try, we won't know. Now, regarding this travel bubble, who or where would be the potentially be the first bubble destination in the Philippines, and with what country? Ano ba yung malamang at malamang? Kasi may mga kaibigan ako nagsasabi Taiwan kasi yung MECO office natin doon may mga nagtatanong na daw, we want to go to your country, etc. What where is the highest possibility coming, and who is the most probable?
Based on the expressed interest do sa mga local destinations, no, ang nababanggit diyan is Boracay and Bohol. Doon naman sa partner countries, no, or the source markets, no, kung saan manggagaling ang turista, no, there has been interest expressed by some partners in Korea, in Taiwan, and in Japan. So kung mapapansin mo, lahat yan, these are all short-haul markets. So sa tingin namin, pag nagbukas na yung borders natin and we're able to pursue itong travel corridors, most likely doon sa mga bansang binanggit ko, manggagaling ang ating mga turista.
So this would be like direct flights to Katiklan and to Bohol International.
That's the idea, no? To go straight to the destination, tapos i-contain mo yung movement. Most likely, they will also stay in just one hotel. Siyempre, yung transfers nila from the airport, no, to the port, no, and then on to the destination, controlled yan, no. And even yung movements nila within the island will also have to be monitored. And then, of course, andyan yung the fundamentals, no, health declaration form, following the health and safety guidelines in the hotels, the restaurants, etc.
Are there requirements from travel organizers from Korea, Taiwan, and ano yung pangatlo, Japan ba yun? Are there requirements? Kasi I remember when I interviewed the Secretary Romulo Puyat here, she said that she was really supporting and pushing na matayo yung health facility sa Boracay. If I remember correctly, when I spoke with Governor Artiapa many months ago, he was saying that they're also ramping up the capacity or capability of a laboratory and a hospital in Bohol. Is this a requirement from the travel organizers as well?
Well, the travel organizers or the tour organizers have not come up with their checklist, no? But of course, in general terms, ito yung mga hahanapin ng mga organizers and of course even the travelers themselves. That's why itong ginagawa nating domestic tourism bubble, no, yung Reef and Ridge, Baguio and Ilocos Norte is a good in a way good preparation, no, for yung international travel bubbles that we will work on eventually. So importante yung protocols are in place. We're hoping that we can fine-tune, no, the protocols in all these domestic destinations that have opened para pagdating ng panahon na bubuksan na natin ito for international tourists, no, at least planchado na.
Okay, but what will be the activities of the tourists coming in? Kasi if you want a protected bubble, I mean, our only point of reference in the Philippines would be the PBA and the 3-on-3 basketball na you are all in a camp. Hindi ka pwedeng lumabas, you cannot mingle with the locals. What would be the protocol for arriving guests in a bubble?
Well, siguro conceptually, like I said, pagdating mo sa airport, no, bali lahat kayo kakahunin, no? If it's going to be a tour bus, then lahat kayo sa tour bus, of course, following the guidelines, no, 50% capacity doon sa bus, no. Pagdating doon sa resort, ang sinasabi naman natin kasi yung travel bubble doesn't mean that andun ka lang sa hotel at hindi ka makakaalis, no. May mga kaya nga dito pumapasok yung booking with DOT accredited tour operator, because by so doing namomonitor mo, nakokontrol mo yung movement ng turista or mga turista doon sa sa isang city or sa isang municipality. So for example, ginawa namin ito, tinestran namin ito doon sa when we were in Bohol a couple of months back, no, for the Philippine Travel Exchange. Pinilot namin yun nandun kami sa hotel, pagka-test namin, nung cleared na kami, no, we were brought around pero predetermined yung itinerary. So in other words, walang kakalas dun sa grupo. Lahat kayo pupunta dun sa predetermined itinerary ninyo.
Okay, so I guess you've covered it all, Usec Bong Bengzon, and I pray and I encourage all our viewers to pray na lumakas palalo ang efforts ng tourism, and that you guys have all the support of the Filipinos, kasi kayo naman talaga ang nagpupush na makagala kami. Kahit pa paano, bagamat walang local tourism na talagang in the old ways, yung marami sa amin, yung iba nakakapunta na nga ng Tagaytay, Cavite, etc. So congratulations to the DOT, and we hope that you guys fare well in the coming days.
Well, Cito, maraming salamat. I really appreciate this effort, and I really thank you for being a tourism champion. No? I mean, I think deep inside, yung puso mo nasa turismo pa rin, and thank you for all the support that you've been giving us.
Okay, pamilya po kayo. You are not different. Thank you very much, Usec Bong Bengzon.
Thank you.
Okay, that's Undersecretary Benito Bengzon ng DOT. Alam niyo po, fair is fair, no? Si Secretary Bernap Romulo Puyat, she was the one really pushing hard all these months para luwagan yung travel restrictions. She was the one who is really going from province to encourage local officials. Luwagan naman nyo, pabayaan nyo makagala yung mga constituents ninyo. Even if you don't allow people from other islands, from other cities, provinces in, at least within your own territory, within your own region, allow people to travel. And it wasn't just because of tourism per se, because Bong Bengzon is Usec or Secretary Berna is the secretary. Hindi po yun eh. There are millions of Filipinos who need hope right now. Hindi lang kayong mga quarantined or restricted in movement. There are millions who are in the industry. Yun lang po ang pinagkakitaan nila before COVID, and marami sa kanila have lost those jobs. But they're still hoping against hope na babalik din yan. Diba? Kanta nga ni Gary, ano ba ito? Wala na. Hopeless na. Gary Valenciano, babalik ka rin. Yung mga OFW, nagbalik ka na. Pero dapat tayo naman makabalik tayo sa favorite places natin sa Pilipinas. So, if you can go around, please, go around, pero social distance, wear a mask, hand sanitizer, and then do not violate any of the local protocols, okay? So yun po, we'll go for a quick break, and when we return, we continue with today's lineup, and we will go quick break, and then Congressman Wes Gatchalian here on Agenda. If you haven't heard, you're about to find out. Ito po yung tungkol sa the Electronic Commerce Bureau. Okay, medyo House Bill 7805 has been passed by the House of Representatives. So, isa po sa, ewan ko kung siya yung primary author o siya yung talagang nagtutulak nitong House Bill to control, regulate, hindi po ipitin, but to regulate properly yung e-commerce sa Pilipinas. Alamin natin, direktahan na natin, batang-bata pa naman hindi ko siya tatawaging iho. Hindi ako papayag na tawagin. Pag ako tinawag na tito nitong batang to, away kami sa TV. Congressman Weslie Gatchalian, welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning, Cito, at good morning to all your viewers and listeners. And just to clarify, Cito, the title of this bill is the Internet Transaction Act. It's actually the
Internet Transaction
Transaction Act. It's a landmark
Okay.
bill, and it's the first ever bill concerning e-commerce, no? And
Oh.
likewise, I am the author, and I am likewise the chairman of the Committee on Trade and Industry.
Ayun, okay, well said. Now, here's the thing. When you say internet transaction, e-commerce, I am sure there are going to be so many reactions. Ay, ano naman, pakikialaman na naman yung aming online business, etc. Could you please explain to our viewers what drove you or what is the reason behind this? It's not yet a law. It's a House bill, but once it goes through the Senate, it will become law. What is behind all of this, Wes?
Well, first of all, Sito, this is the law that will protect our consumers against fraud, scams, proliferation of fake goods, damaged goods, etc. Everything happening online, no?
Mhm.
Kasama na rin sa panukala nito yung mga food delivery drivers natin na naloloko ho. Kasama na rin po ang mga different scams na hinaharap natin patungkol sa drugs, patungkol po sa mga online how do you call it, yung mga online financing, no,
Mhm.
padala, no, na mga naloloko tayo. So right now, Sito, the inspiration of this bill, when I authored this back in the 16th Congress pa, Sito, take note, no,
Mhm.
ngayon lang napansin itong bill natin because of the pandemic. Everybody had to stay home and we had no choice but to transact online. Ngayon lang po nabigyan ng importance. So at nagpapasalamat din ako kay speaker, our new speaker, no, Lord Velasco, for putting time, and this was passed on third reading last week kasi nakita nyo po yung ka-importansya nito, no.
Mhm.
Basically, Sito, the inspiration to this is I've been seeing that online platforms like Shopee, Lazada, Facebook Marketplace are not regulating the transactions online very well, no.
Mhm.
Marami hong complaints na nare-receive po ng aming Committee on Trade and Industry, patungkol ho sa mga gamit na in-order nila, pagdating naman damage. May iba
Mhm.
naman, ito yung litrato, pagdating naman sa kanila, hindi naman yung dumating. Bumili ho ng rubber shoes na collectors, pagdating, peke naman, no? Sari-sari na,
Mhm.
Sito, sari-sari ng problema. So
No, it's
what's
good.
happening?
It's good. It's good that you're running this down. Kasi honestly, Kong West, no, I've completely forgot. Kasi pag iniisip nating internet transaction, we don't even consider the delivery people. Na yung mga ang daming delivery pagkatapos pagpunta dun sa location, no such person, maraming order pagkatapos wala naman palang buyer, and then they have yung lalo na yung bumibili ng pagkain. Ilang beses ko na nakita yon, o orderan ng pagkain, pag-deliver, no such person in that location, kawawa yung driver.
Yes, we had a couple of hearings, and I think 2 out of the 4 or 5 hearings namin ay patungkol ho sa food delivery drivers natin na naging victim, no? Marami
Mm.
sa kanila, may nag-order, dumating sila 4 o 5 drivers, hindi naman pala fake order pala yon. Ngayon, they had to
Mhm.
absorb, no? Alam mo, Sito, pandemic na ngayon, a lot of our kababayans have no jobs, are facing hardships in life. Tapos
Mm.
dito pa maloloko pa sila through this mga manloloko through this online scam. So, pero ang tanong dito, anong ginagawa po ng Facebook? Anong ginagawa po ng Lazada patungkol ho dito? So the answer ho dito, Cito, is during our hearings, we found out na these online platforms are self-regulating. Ang
Mm,
gobyerno ho natin, wala hong ginagawa at wala hong magagawa dahil wala ho tayong batas dito. You know,
correct.
Cito, in 2019, the Department of Trade and Industry received 2,457 complaints. And now in 2020, from January to October 2020, it increased by 600% or 14,869 complaints. Imagine mo, they are so bombarded with all these complaints na wala na rin magawa ho masyado. No? Hindi ko naman sinasabing walang ginagawa sila Secretary Mon Lopez. I give it to Sec Mon Lopez,
Mm,
the head of our Consumer Protection Group, Yusek Ruth Castelo. They're
mm,
trying their best and marami na rin pong na-resolve na mga cases. Pero there is no law governing this. Kaya
mm.
ho, ang end up po itong mga kaso, wala ho nangyayari. Kung hindi naman po wala nangyayari, kung yung halaga ng goods naman ay 1,000 peso lang, 2,000 peso, hayaan na lang natin kasi naman maperwiso pa ako to file all the papers and
Mm,
documents, no? Me myself, Sito, is a victim, no?
mm.
I bought something in Facebook Marketplace back in April worth 20,000 peso. Can you
Oo.
imagine, hanggang ngayon, hindi pa rin ako nare-refund doon sa damaged goods na natanggap ko.
Hindi
And I've
naman
been,
ano, hindi naman halaman yung binili mo, Hindi ka
ay,
isa doon sa mga nababaliw sa halaman na
mga indoor indoor plants. Hindi naman po this is actually for my daughter, no, on her birthday last April 12. I bought something online, and I've been complaining to Facebook. Tinatapon nila ako sa Facebook US, doon daw ako mag-complain. If you're an ordinary Juan de la Cruz, how can you protect yourself? And
Mm,
remember, Sito, we have a consumer protection law that
mm.
is already governing us right now. So I would like to remind the online platforms na kasama ho kayo doon. Your brick and mortar store, your
Yeah.
online, you're covered by what we call the Consumer Protection Act.
You're right on the money, Kong West, because I mean, like, one of my one of my pet peeves of online commerce is yung bang pagtitingnan mo yung price 1, 2, 3, 4, o titingnan mo yung product, walang summary or review or description of the product. Kasi yesterday lang, sabi ko sa wife ko, can you check what they say about this product so we know it's the right thing? And apparently, these companies, yung sinasabi mo, Shopee, etc., they don't do that. Sa kanila, parang ito yung product, sige, kung gusto mo, we will arrange for your purchase. Pero wala na. So in any case, how are you going to go about, how will this law, in real terms, address with these real problems?
Well, Sita, I'll just give a few salient points if you don't
Mm,
mind.
go ahead.
Number one is we're going to create what we call an e-commerce bureau under the Department of Trade and Industry. This will be the agency that will become a one-stop shop for all complaints, no, happening in the internet, no. The e-commerce bureau will be empowered to arbitrate. Let's say sila ho ang maghaharap sa buyer at seller kung hindi ho magkaayos. You have the right pong to go through the usual legal means. Sila din po ang magdedirect sa mga government agencies tulad ng FDA for cosmetics and food and drugs, no, to
Mm,
intellectual property agency pag fake rubber shoes, etc., no, and PDEA for drugs, no.
mm,
Secondly, we will have what we call the first ever DTI trust mark, no. It's a trust mark, it's a logo. So once we will ask all these online merchants to register with DTI, no. Ngayon naman po, kailangan naman yung mga tindahan ho sa mall, kailangan naman talaga ho mag-register eh. You need to get your business permit, you need to get your permit in DTI. Ganon din ang gagawin ho natin. So we will ask the online merchants to register so that we can monitor them closely. And when you
mm,
comply and register, you will get in return what we call the trust mark. And this trust mark will give peace and confidence to our consumers. So pag nakita nila itong trust mark na to, they will feel comfortable in transacting to this certain website or certain online merchants because this was guaranteed by the government, no? And then well, medyo marami po, but those are
Good.
the important, no? And on the merchant side naman, we will be protecting them. Not hindi lang ho consumers ang pinoprotect nitong batas ito, kundi ho ang House Bill 6805. We will protect the micro, small, and medium enterprises by
Mm.
putting in place the trust mark, this trust mark that can protect them. And likewise, we will held the online platforms, no? Kasi madalas itong mga MSMEs are
Mm.
just selling inside this website. So
Yeah.
in House Bill 7805, what will happen is there will be what we call a limited liability, no? So the platforms like Lazada, Facebook, etc., will be governed now. They should take responsibility in all the items being sold in their website, no? So hindi lang merchants ang liable dito kasi kawawa naman yung mga MSMEs natin, no? Kung hindi ang we will ask the online platforms to transact with due diligence, transact with to be very vigilant when
Mm.
they're registering or accepting merchants in their website. Kasi nangyayari ngayon, Sito is tanggap lang ng tanggap volume, no?
Oo.
Tanggap lang sa quantity, paramihan na online merchants para paramihan produkto na bebenta sa website nila, pero hindi na ho quality merchants. Marami doon nandadaya, marami doon one seller, 10 accounts. Marami doon, kung nag-complain sa sasara lang account, bukas, magbubukas na naman account. So, with House Bill 7805, we want the online platforms to take responsibility in the online merchants and members that are transacting in their website.
So kailangan i-verify din itong mga malalaking merchants na ito, itong online merchants like Lazada, etc. Kailangan i-verify nila yung identity ng mga nagbebenta.
Well, hindi lang ho verify, Sito, but they will be liable.
Okay.
So, kung meron nag-complaints, may nangyari ho, let's say, bumili ho ng slimming pills na hindi naman pala FDA approved, namatay ho yung tao, hindi lang yung online merchants ang magiging liable. Pati po si Lazada, pati si Facebook will be
Yun.
liable.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to more time with you, Congressman Wes, and sana magtuloy-tuloy. I'm sure sasaluhin naman ng kuya mo sa Senado yan. Kuya mo ba yun o mas bata sa iyo yun?
Well, kuya ko yun, kuya ko.
Okay.
Mas panganay po sa amin, si Sen.
Okay.
Win. Yes.
Oh, nandun si Senator Win Gatchalian. So I'm sure this will see the light of day, and it is something that is really needed now. Thank you very much for your time.
Sito, thank you very much for the opportunity at pasensya na po kung nasa kotse ako because we have an event in Camp Aguinaldo right now. So thank you very much
No.
like to all the viewers of your program.
No problem. Believe nga ako sa signal and quality ng video mo. Thank you very much, Congressman Gatchalian. Okay, that's Congressman Weslie Gatchalian. Yun po, napaka-timely nung kanyang House Bill. House Bill 7805, an act providing stronger regulation of internet transactions. Hindi po ito paglilimita o pangingikil sa inyo ng mga naghahanap buhay. Ito po ay para masiguro na lahat ng ewan ko kung tamang salita ito, pero yung lahat ng katarantaduhan na ginagawa sa internet, yung mga pangwawalangya ng mga delivery, mga grab food, mga kawalangyaan, yung nag-order ka ng sapatos, papadala sa'yo, parehong kaliwa, etc. Nako po, tapos yung ikakamera, akala mo ang laki ng halaman. Ikaw, plantito, plantita, talaga, ang mura niyan, bilhin ko. Yung pala, tinabihan lang pala ng maliit na statwa para magmukhang malaki. Ay, nako po. Eto na, ayan na, magkakaroon ng Electronic Commerce Bureau, presumably under the DTI. Iyan na, lagot na kayong mga tulisan. Okay, we'll be right back after a few reminders here on Agenda. welcome back to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and you are watching us via Signal TV channels 8 and 250, as well as facebook.com/OneNewsPH, or pwede rin sa YouTube, One News PH. Bago po tayo tumuloy sa susunod nating interview, just before I do that, I just want to send out my condolences to the family of April Boy Regino, yung si April Boy, yung singer po na pumanaw kamakailan, and I really feel bad about it because I had guested him in a show I had many years ago, and he was a really nice guy, really cool, and apparently he's also a good friend of one of my childhood friends, Boyet Guerrero. So we're both kind of, sorry that April Boy passed away, and may mga nag-post nga, di ko kayang tanggapin. And many of us parang nanghihinayang. But in any case, our condolences to the family, and we pray that God will give you strength during these days. And okay, tayo na po ay tumuloy our next interview, or final interview for the day. And we have with us the Vice President for Marketing and Customer Experience ng Cebu Pacific Air, none other than our friend Candice. Iyog. Candice, are you there?
I'm here, Cito. Hello.
Wow,
Can you hear me?
you're looking great.
Hi, Cito. Hello to all your viewers. Good to see you.
Well, and it's also nice to see that you're looking great, nice colors and bright, because, medyo, I feel for you and your company and your associates. I know this is the toughest of times, and, when all of this started, your team, your group were the first to step up to say, we're taking salary cuts, we're taking pay cuts, para lang to preserve the jobs and to keep it going. Pero finally, medyo nakakalipad-lipad na kayo. Kamusta na sa Cebu Pacific?
Well, first of all, I think you're right. We're one of the hardest hit in industry in this pandemic. With we locked down for 3 months. 3 buwan kaming walang nililipad at all. We only had a few flights na cargo related, some repatriation flights. So that was good. But just to give you a scale of where we are, since we started flying again in June, we are nasa mga less than 10% pa rin of our original network. So that's really where we are. But I think what we're doing right now, because we do need to stay positive and to focus on what we can control. So aside from capital raising activities, which the company's working on right now, there are 3 main areas that we're focusing on. No, nag-umpisa to nung right before we started flying. We said there are 3 things kasi we need to rebuild trust and confidence in flying again, no? So 3 things we're focusing on. First is safety and sanitation. Marami tayong mga new measures or passenger guidelines that we've had to implement when we restarted operations to ensure a contactless and safe experience for our passengers. So this has also meant the need for us to accelerate a lot of our digital efforts para maging self-service and contactless yung journey ng pasahero with Cebu Pacific. Now, that's first, no? The second area we've been focusing on is convenience. In this environment where yung mga LGU natin, iba-iba yung requirements, no, for travel. Some allow na non-essential travel, some essential travel pa rin. So, iba-iba yung requirements. So, what we try to do is we try to be one step ahead by providing our passengers with advanced information on the different travel requirements and making sure that the information is readily available to them. Dahil nga, the situation is still fluid, no?
Yeah.
So we've provided passengers also with flexibility in terms of their options. So if you book now, you can do unlimited rebooking. Say, for example, you wake up today and you say, medyo my allergies are working up, no? And medyo inuubo ako, I don't want to go to the airport, no? Kasi, I don't want to risk it. Then you can rebook your flight as
Yeah.
an example. So flexible options. And
So
the third area is
yeah,
testing.
okay, good. Testing. Well, yeah.
Mm-mm.
Hindi kasi yung sinabi mong only booking or
Mm.
rebooking kasi before hindi ba fixed booking pero high, fantastic promos. Yun
Yes,
yung
yes.
motto ninyo eh. We have the best promos in town pero hindi ka pwede mag-rebook. It's a go or no go. Pero ngayon only rebooking.
Yes, yes. Well,
Okay.
actually, pwede naman, even before, you can do rebooking, except the rebooking is with a fee. No? There's a rebooking fee, and then you pay for a fare difference.
Okay.
Now, we are waiving the rebooking fee. And then if the flight is disrupted, so for example, there's a change in requirements or a cancellation of flight, then even the fare difference is also waived. So we've had to in this period really listen very closely to the feedback we're getting from our customers, try to understand what it is they're going through, para naman we can provide more flexibility nga in their options para we can also rebuild this trust and confidence in flying again.
You know,
And
your latest announcement caught my eye. This thing about testing. Itong
mm,
TBB. Ano ba ito?
mm,
Kasi alam mo, sa amin sa media, ang alam ko lang, PBB. Pay
mm.
Before Broadcast. Eh sa inyo, TBB. Ano ba yung TBB na yan?
So, if you look at one of these companies who provided some consulting for us before we restarted, no, they said if we want to kickstart travel, there are three things we need to focus on. No, one is sanitation, which we've already started doing.
Yeah.
Second is contact tracing. So the good thing is the DOTR has already come out with the Traze TRAZZE app, where all passengers traveling will have to download the contact tracing app of the DOTR, which we will also check no when they check in. So there is now sanitation, there's now contact tracing. The third point is actually testing. Testing instead of quarantine. So on the testing side, starting tomorrow, actually December 3 up to December 14, we will be piloting test before boarding, so TBB, for all passengers flying from Manila to General Santos. And we will be doing the testing at the terminal together with our diagnostic testing partner, PADL, and we will be using antigen tests. Kasi, we all know din naman, diba, when people take their tests, it's really only indicative of the condition of the passenger at the time that the test is taken. So if you take the test, say, 72 hours before departure, and then you get exposed from the time you take the test to the time you fly, then it's possible that you're flying and that you have COVID.
Yeah.
Right? It's possible. Now, the good thing is we have measures now in place. All passengers are wearing masks and face shields. Our cabin crew are wearing masks and face shields. But there are LGUs that are requiring passengers to take an RT-PCR test before they board or
Yeah.
before they travel, 3 days before. Now, what we're proposing, because first of all, mahal ang RT-PCR test, no? Mas mahal pa siya sa pamasahe, right? And then
Yeah, it's right now
matagal.
the official price cap right now is 5,000. If there are 4 people in a party, that's already 20 grand.
Correct. So it's it's very expensive and therefore not accessible to our traveling public. So and it takes time before you actually get the results. So what we've done, and we're piloting it with Gensan, is for us to be able to do test before boarding and reduce the gap from the time the test is administered to the time they board, we
Yeah.
need to have a test that is has a quick turnaround and is also affordable so that we can scale testing. So now we're going to be using antigen tests,
Yeah.
and the antigen test will be administered as part of your day of flight journey. So you arrive at the airport, no, like 5 hours before your departure time. There is the testing facility is in the departure level of the airport, and then you register online using their electronic passenger information form, indicate your flight number, your details. You get to the testing facility, show your QR code. You get swabbed. So yesterday we had a dry run. The whole testing process,
Yeah.
30 minutes from the
Yeah.
time you take the swab to the time you get your result. You
Mhm.
have the QR code. So only passengers who test negative on the antigen test will be accepted for boarding.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
yeah.
What about the cost? Is that going to be passengers' cost, Cebu Pacific's cost, or will it be a shared cost? Because I was just speaking with Yusek Bengzon,
Mm,
and Yusek Bong was saying they're also considering a subsidy of sorts for this testing for just to encourage tourism. So pag
mm,
pinagsama-sama, ano ba ito? Tripartite expense, Candice?
mm. Yeah, Cito, very good question, no? Kasi we're very conscious nga but that the cost is we need to make sure it's affordable, no?
Mm,
So for the testing period for our TBB from December 3 up to 14 with Manila Gensan flights,
mm,
Cebu Pacific will be shouldering the cost of the test.
okay.
All right. Now, after the pilot, it will be a pass on to our passengers.
Mm,
Where it's really just a direct pass on of the cost of the test. Now, the good thing about the antigen test, aside from speed, it is a fraction of the cost of the RT-PCR test.
yeah.
All right. So we're still working, negotiating with our partners to make sure that it's as low as it can possibly be as a pass-on cost to
Yeah,
our
because
passengers.
I did take the antigen test
Mm,
just before my wife came back from Europe. Sabi
mm-mm,
ko, negative ka. Baka ako naman asymptomatic positive. I
mm,
better have myself tested. So I didn't feel like doing the RT-PCR because I'd also been in quarantine. So we just
mm,
did the antigen. And you're right, it takes 30, 40 minutes. The results is right in front of you. And I think because this is a home service, I think I paid
mm,
about 1,005 or something or 3,000.
mm,
I can't remember. So more or less, how much would the end price be by your guesstimate? And I'm not
mm.
holding you to it, but
Yeah,
guesstimate lang.
we're looking at the price of around it's around the 1,000 mark. You're
Mhm.
right. No, I think the home service one that I've seen for antigen is around 1,500.
Mhm.
I think no, but we're trying to bring it down to less than 1,000 as much as
Mm.
possible.
Yeah. Now, just so that people are, and you don't have to answer if you're not in a position to answer, because I'm kind of wondering, the government has allowed thousands upon thousands of OFWs to come home,
Mm,
and
mm,
government officials have said, oh, there are flights that are packed, 300 or 250
mm,
were on this
mm, mm,
flight, etc.
mm,
And I was telling you, Sekbong, bakit ganon? Bakit 20% pa rin ang allowed capacity? Have we, I mean, in the limited flights that have
mm,
been mounted here in the Philippines, domestic flights,
mm,
have you
mm.
ever heard of a single case where nagkaroon ng COVID sa flight? Kasi parang, alam mo naman kami, we're so, on the ball and makulit kami maghanap ng mga reports. But
Mm,
we
mm.
haven't heard anything bad as far as domestic flights are concerned.
You are absolutely right there, Cito. Uh, in fact, the reason na recently natanggal na yung pagbablock ng last 3 rows. We used to block last 3 rows of the aircraft to, in case there's somebody who's manifesting symptoms in flight, we will seat them in the back. No, at the beginning of the restart, we were also capping the capacity of the flights so that we can space passengers within the aircraft as well. But recent scientific research or studies support that in-flight transmission of COVID is virtually non-existent. This comes from research from IATA. We've also seen research from the Harvard School of Public Health, where they're saying that wearing a surgical mask, and in our case, may face shield pa tayo. And with the technology that's available in the aircraft, which is the HEPA filters, which refreshes the air every 2 minutes, it really reduces the risk of infection from respiratory particles to less than 1%. Now, I think IATA's obviously trying to get more information about this. I think what they've found is from the start of COVID, yung umpisa pa nung March, no, that there have been 44, so 44, no, two digits, 44 cases of COVID transmissions that took place in flight. Now, this is before people were wearing masks. This is before people were wearing face shields. So if you look at that 44 people, and since then we've been flying as an industry, 1.2 billion who have traveled in 2020. That's one in every 27 million. So you're right, no? I think there's still a lot of fear or anxiety because I guess because it is the aircraft, because the aircraft is an enclosed space. And so it's good that we have these conversations and we get to share the research or the science behind it. And knowing, despite nga that it is safe, we'll still continue to execute the precautionary measures now of wearing face masks and face shields for passengers and our crew.
In fact, I was even told, Candice, that the pilots or the crew regularly refresh the air on board as a preventive measure for COVID. And this is why, do sa mga nakakalipad, they're kind of asking, why was my flight freezing cold? It's never cold. And now it's so, I said, because they refresh the air and you are at, 36,000 feet. Eh, sorry ka na lang, manginig ka sa lamig.
I think the HEPA filters, no, in the aircraft, no, is 99.9% that it filters the air, no, and it's the same grade of HEPA filters that hospitals have for operating rooms.
Yeah, and
Aircraft have
ICU.
negative and ICUs, exactly. So it's negative pressure, no. So it and one of our engineers have always tried to make it as layman for us to understand as possible. The air is filtered also from the top of the aircraft to the floor. So the airflow is pababa, para siyang air curtain in my head. That's how I visualize it. So he said that the only place the air has touched before it enters your mouth is the top of your head, because it goes down from the top of the aircraft down and then down to the floor. And then it circulates again, because it's not from the front to the back or the back to the front. And so it's good to know, no? Because aside from it being refreshed every 2 minutes, the flow is also top to bottom.
Okay, now do you have target destinations that you guys are working on for, to open up? Because I was asking Usec Bong, with regards to the travel bubbles, what are the primary destinations? And he said it would be Boracay and Bohol. For Cebu Pacific, where would what are the chances that certain destinations will be the first go-to volume flights? Kasi parang I'm just presuming Cebu was one of your heavy
Mhm, mhm.
trips.
I think in terms of we're not um we're not going to be choosy na may priority na sana tourist muna or leisure muna. I
Mhm.
think uh we used to operate 400 flights a day.
Mhm.
Now we're operating 400 to uh 400 flights uh, to 28 destinations only
Yeah.
now. No, it used to be 37 destinations. I think it's really a matter of sinasabay dapat kasi yung demand sa
Mhm.
supply, no? So there are destinations we want to operate more flights to, like
Yeah.
say Davao or Zamboanga
Mhm.
or Boracay. No, for example,
Yeah.
I think what we need to be conscious about though is not just the opening up of the destinations, but to make it easy
Okay.
and to standardize the requirements to flying to these destinations. Um,
Well,
because
we're gonna badger the authorities on that because little do people realize ordinary citizens like me and friends, we're also getting fed up. We've got to structure, we've got to standardize because there has to be predictability. Kasi ang hirap dito para tayo
mm,
bingo and you don't run businesses that way. But just
yeah.
to end our quick chat this morning, Candice, I'm just curious, okay? I know na pinapayagan ng makabiyahe outside of the country. In fact, one of my nieces just put on Facebook that they're already back in Australia. Where does Cebu Pacific go internationally na medyo madali-dali in case I just want to get out of town?
Mm.
Tokyo ba? Korea ba?
Well, internationally, we already operate flights to 8 international destinations. No, Dubai, Singapore, Narita, Osaka, Nagoya, Hong Kong, Incheon, and Taipei.
Hmm.
Now, um, it's now a question. We have to go back to the requirements and we have to
And
see
if it's
whether
easy.
they will accept uh, non non-essential travel. At the
Mm.
moment, hindi pa, no? I think there are requirements. I think students are
Mm.
allowed to now travel. Like I have nephews or nieces or relatives who have sent their children to study abroad na. So pwede na. Um, pero tourist, I think we have to check the requirements of the host country kung
Mm.
pwede na ulit ang tourist travel.
So not like I was under the impression it would be Tokyo or it would be Japan and South Korea. So not necessarily.
Let's check. I mean, on the website, what we've done is there is a page on our website right now that we update regularly on the requirements, no? So, for example, for Japan,
Mm.
um, the ang pwede pa lang are Japan residents and Japanese nationals who are going back home, permanent residents or spouse of permanent residents. So,
Ayun.
hindi pa tayo pwede.
Okay, well, I am looking forward to the day that we can all at least sample Kobe beef or something like that.
I
In any case,
know, I know.
okay. In any case, thank you very much, Candice. And we continue to pray and support the industry na makabangon kayo. And thank you for the breakthrough suggestion for antigen testing. We hope it picks up, and we hope that you get your way as far as standardized requirements go. Thank you for your day, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you also, Cito. Stay
Okay.
safe.
Okay, that's Candice Iyog, Vice President for Marketing and Customer Experience at Cebu Pacific Air. And ayun po, no, talagang napaka-komplikado. It's a bit of a challenge for the airlines to figure things out. And I do hope, while we are all one, we are one people, one government, one nation fighting COVID-19. We also have to be one in how we run things. Hindi po pwede yung para makaiwas, sasabihin ng national government, we leave it to the local. Pag you leave it to the local, sasabihin naman ng local, better safe than sorry, baka balikan tayo ng national, o sige, higpitan na lang natin, bahala na silang lahat. We are one body, as it is said in the Bible. Kung sumakit yung kalingkingan, mararamdaman ng ulo. Kung sumakit ng ulo, naapektuhan yung buong katawan. One cannot say, because I am the least, I don't care about the rest. We are all one body, one nation, one people. We need to move as one. I hope you will also all pray as one, and we hope that we will have better results in the coming days, because the tourism industry needs it, the airline industry needs it, and we all need it. But before I go, please lang, wear your mask, socially distance, okay? Hand sanitize, and please take care of yourself. Huwag po kayong magwala na nakawala sa koral like many people are doing. We don't want a second or a third wave. Good day to all of you. That's agenda for today. God bless you all.